Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/prorevenge. In today's episode, chemical warfare used to teach coworker manners, #petty revenge. I just want you to want to be here. You want to copy my homework even though you're a douchebag? Okay. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Chemical warfare used to teach coworker manners, #petty revenge. A few years ago, I used to work as active duty in the USAF in the Security Forces Squadron. Basically military police. A typical workday would have me spend 12 hours checking IDs at the front gate, patrolling the base, or being put in a non-moving post in the middle of nowhere in which you would spend most of the time contemplating your life choices. The last one is where our story takes place. At the time, we were combining two different work groups, night and day shift, to build up our manpower for the week because we were expecting some important people to fly into our base. Also, all this was happening in the middle of January, so the average temp outside was around 2°F at #ing cold. I was tasked with being posted on the flight line in a truck with two other airmen. One of the guys I was partnering up with, we'll call him Nate, was from my group, so I already knew him. The other guy, we'll call him Jimmy, was from the other group. I didn't know much about the guy, so I asked around about him. The best way to describe him in one word would be Cornhusker. Jimmy was what you would call a good old Midwestern boy. A good guy honestly and a decent coworker. However, he had this one particular quirk that could quickly get on your nerves. Jimmy was well known for farting and never apologizing for it. I would have understood if he had some kind of medical stomach issue or digestion problems. But nope, Jimmy was healthy as a horse and just loved ripping ass at his fullest potential. Oh, and his justification for never apologizing for it was also priceless. Jimmy was well known for saying what? Farting is as natural as breathing. You want me to apologize for breathing too, every time. Hearing this kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and so was Nate, so I decided to prepare in case he tried to pull this stunt with us. I told Nate what I had planned and his reaction said it all. Nate, dear God, I hope it won't have to come to this. Me, it'll hurt me more than it will hurt him. On the first day of us working together, it didn't take long before #T started to go down. Nate and Jimmy were sitting up front in the truck, and I was sitting in the back seat. After about 2 hours of just us talking and trying to stay warm, Jimmy did exactly what we were warned he would do. Jimmy not only let out a fart that made me question if he was medically cleared to serve our country, he didn't apologize or even roll down his window. This of course led to us reacting appropriately. Nate, while rolling down his window, dude, what the hell? Are you dying? Me, while trying to cover my face because I can't roll down my window, bro, you can apologize, or at the very least commit seppuku for this dishonor. And of course Jimmy gave his trademark excuse. Jimmy, what? Farting is as natural as breathing. You want me to apologize for breathing too? Me, dishonor on you, your family and your cow. This ticked me off, and so I decided to immediately take action and initiated Plan F. Without Jimmy seeing, I took out a box of pure high-fiber breakfast protein bars from my gear bag that I got from the commissary right before work. I don't remember how many there were in the box, 6 or 8, I just know that I ate them all in like 20 minutes. 1 hour later I began to feel the inner demons working their way through my intestines, so I started a conversation with Nate to give him the code word to let him know that things were about to get bad. Me, yo dude, any plans this break? Nate, no not really, you? Me, I was thinking about re-watching the last Airbender movie. Once Nate heard our code word Airbender, and the fact that I mentioned that movie, he knew it was time to leave. Nate then excused himself to go read some important government emails, YouTube, in the building we were closest to, and that he would be gone for a bit. Side note, our post had a specific rule we had to follow. There had to be 2 people at the truck at all times. One person can leave for however long to go to the bathroom, smoke, get food or whatever. But until that one person comes back, nobody else can leave. Now back to the story. At this point, Nate had been gone for about 5 minutes, Jimmy was chillin' in the front seat, and I was in the back getting ready to exercise the horror that raged inside me. I gave myself my last rites, and 1 minute later it happened. I let out the most aggressive and physically demanding fart you could ever expect a 160 pounds Filipino to be able to do. Jimmy's initial reaction was surprisingly positive. "Jimmy, damn boy, where I'm from we call that a tree bender." Ha! But then, 3 seconds later, the smell hit. Jimmy began to gag and frantically started to roll down his window and stick his head out the truck. "Jimmy, good lord, what died and decided to haunt your ass?" I just laughed a little and started to text Nate everything that was happening. After about another minute the smell began to dissipate and Jimmy brings his head back in from the freezing cold. Once Jimmy was done rolling up this window, I once again let loose another, and even bigger fart. Pretty sure I made the truck vibrate. And once again the smell forced Jimmy's head out the truck. "Jimmy, okay seriously, what the hell?" At that moment I just decided to just sit back and let karma take the wheel and gave back to him his famous catchphrase. "Me, what? Farting is as natural as breathing. You want me to apologize for breathing too?" This started a vicious cycle that lasted over half an hour. Every time the smell would begin to die down and Jimmy thought it was safe enough to stop sticking his head out the window, my butt would just lie and roar again and reclaim the land. It got to the point that Jimmy just had enough and decided to just get out the truck. Jimmy, while stepping out of the truck, "Nope. That's it. Can't handle it. My eyes are burning. You're messed up cause this isn't natural." Me in a stereotypical Boston accent, "Hey, you mind? I'm breathing back here. 100% au natural." Jimmy got out and because of the rule we had to follow he couldn't leave the area or go inside the closest building with Nate. All Jimmy could do was stand outside the truck in the cold until my lower intestines decided it was done, which was about another 2.5 hours. And don't worry, we all had some decent cold weather gear. When it was all said and done, we all worked the rest of the night and week without any more incidences. I don't know if he went back to his old ways when he went back to night shift. I just know he didn't pull any more stunts like that with us. Because of that, I like to think he learned his lesson. I hope you all enjoyed reading this, and if you know what exact laws I broke in the Geneva Convention, please let me know because I'm pretty sure I violated a few of them. Thank you, and I'll end this by simply saying, respect is a two-way street. I just want you to want to be here. I've told this story in real life a few times in different contexts, and enough time has passed that I feel comfortable posting it online. I've worked in live theater for my entire professional career. For the most part I've specialized in video, which is a pretty niche thing. Not a lot of people that are drawn to live theatrical performance are at all interested in video. I was working at a large regional theater company as a video engineer. Said company got lucky enough to be the place where a show destined for Broadway would originate. This show has received a decent amount of fame, not like Hamilton, but you'd probably have heard the name if I said it here. The show had a lot of video. Like a lot. Specifically it had around 30 flat-screen TVs that were part of the set. They'd fly up and down, move across the stage, and display all sorts of content. We brought in a Broadway designer and his team of assistants to produce all the content. I worked most closely with the video engineer attached to the project, an NYC-based guy, we'll call him Chad. It was a big show for my team. The scope was completely out of our usual wheelhouse, but we had a lot of talent on our side. All of us put in some insane hours. Me and one other person had a couple of 100-hour weeks during the build and load-in. I in particular didn't get a day off for around a month, I think 29 days. It was a big show and we were all exhausted. Once we were in technical rehearsals, the large part of my job was over. Most of the time I was expected to be on site in case anything went wrong. In general, I'm totally fine with this. It's part of the job. We got to a Wednesday night, right at the end of that 29-day period. I realized I literally didn't have a clean pair of underwear to wear the next day. I talked to my boss at the theater company, local, and his boss, also local, and they gave me the okay to go home to do my laundry. I'd be back the next day at 8 a.m. I went to let Chad know what the plan was. I explained that I needed to do laundry, and that I hadn't had a day off in a month. He sighed, exhibiting extreme annoyance and disappointment, and said, "I just want you to want to be here." Well, fuck you too, Chad. Seriously. He knew how hard I had been working. He knew how much I had been there. He knew there wasn't anything for me to do that evening. He knew that if there was a technical problem, he was more qualified than I to address it. He knew all of those things and didn't care. That was the moment any ambition I had to work on Broadway died. I had put my heart and soul into that show, and had a relationship fall apart as a result, and he wanted me to want to be there. Side note, theater people can be really toxic about this kind of thing. If you aren't there every waking hour, people will turn their noses up at you. It's the one thing I hate about theater, that there's this cultish sense of a required level of devotion. That if someone treats it as a job and not a calling, they don't deserve to be there. Which is bullshit on many levels. That said, if anyone is in the condition I was in, the hours and the lack of days off, usually they'll be escorted out of the building by their coworkers and have their keys taken away until they get some rest. Theater people can be cultish, but they do care about one another. Chad's actions were on a whole different level. There was no immediate reprisal. We got through the technical rehearsals, and the show opened. Then it closed, and moved on to NYC for an off-Broadway run before it got to Broadway, and received much critical acclaim. The revenge story comes with the move to off-Broadway. See, I was the person responsible for boxing up all those TVs to send to New York City. This particular model of TV has a big rocker switch on the back, a master power switch. Knowing Chad, I knew that wouldn't be something that he'd check. So I went ahead and flipped them all off, packed up the TVs, and sent them on their way. A friend of mine worked on the production in New York. Apparently, Chad got his crew to hang all the TVs and fly them up into position without checking anything. Apparently Chad then spent a couple days trying to turn them on, with remotes, with network control, even getting on an electric lift and hitting the power button, separate from the rocker. Nothing worked. Huh. Apparently, when he found out the problem, he was rather frustrated. Apparently he had been putting in some long days and hadn't had a day off in a while. Well, Chad, I just want you to want to be there. You want to copy my homework even though you're a douchebag? Okay. So this is back in high school about 10 years ago, yikes. The way my high school worked was that you'd have the same homeroom, with the same people all 4 years, i.e. people from your own grade only. Unfortunately for me, the guys in the class were all your typical high school D-bags. There was this one guy who was the most annoying that we'll call Dick, because that was his name, and obviously fit him perfectly. Side not Dick, if you read this you suck then, and I'm sure you suck now. You suck dick is what I'm saying. Anyways, Dick would never do his homework and would always pester me to help him out by letting him copy it. After a while I gave in, but would charge him $1 a time to copy it. This would happen 3 or so times a week, so it was a profitable little venture, and since we were in separate periods from another, still the same homework, combined with it always being multiple choice, I never really had to risk being caught. So fast forward to the end of senior year, I've probably made around $350 from this. So now we're getting to the last week of class and he's barely going to pass the year. My homework could help only so much, and by that year, I only was in one class with him, since by that point I was doing AP classes and other electives. I know he can't afford to fuck up anymore, so when he comes to me for assumably the last time I drop the bomb so to speak, it'll be $20 this time. He of course is pissed. WTF man, it's always been $1, what are you doing? Well, that's capitalism baby, supply and demand and so on. Do you want them or not? He's pissed off, but reluctantly does so. Just to be safe I change a few answers on mine, getting a much lower grade on it, but it was one homework assignment in a class I had a B in, so I could take the hit. Since our assignments were handed back the next day, even if he ratted me out they couldn't prove it. I suppose other students in the room could have backed him up, but one. I was a good student who never had detention, had a good relationship with the principal, and they were all degenerates, so who would they have believed? After graduation I never saw Dick again, but I still have the several video games he essentially bought for me, so I always have a smile on my face when I play them. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.